Palm Beach County School Board candidate captured on camera participating in the January 6th protest outside the Capitol in D.C., and some parents are expressing their concerns.
CBS 12's Lena Salzbank is in Lake Worth, and she sits down to discuss the controversy with the candidate.
Angelique Contreras announced she would be running for a spot on Palm Beach County School Board back in October.
We have to step up for our community, even if it does not personally affect us.
Contreras made her way into the limelight last year when she stood against the board's decision to require masks in school.
By approving this mask mandate today,
she is a vocal supporter of parental choice.
Parents should have a right and a transparency into the curriculum that their children are being taught.
But a photo of the 31-year-old is turning heads. That photo shows Contreras with a Patriot hat on outside of what looks to be the Capitol. Were you or were you not there that day?
I was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, and I was, like every American, practicing my First Amendment right to peacefully assemble.
Contreras says she was already on her way home when the violence broke out.
There are a lot of parents that would expect you to be a role model for their kids if you do become elected as a school board member here in Palm Beach County. So can you say that you condemn that violence?
Yeah, absolutely. I do condemn any and all violence. And just because one bad apple was there does not mean it should outweigh to all of the Americans that stood proudly.
The mother of three says she is qualified to run for the school board and political preferences should be left out of school policies.
I believe politics have gone into our local schools, and that's why we're seeing the issues that we see today.
So if you don't believe that politics should be a part of school board decisions, do you feel like you should refrain from doing anything politically yourself?
Well, I don't believe I did anything politically except for running for school board.
So you just said you don't think that you did anything political, but by being at that January 6th protest outside of the Capitol, don't you think that takes a political stance?
I believe that we as Americans in anything are able to stand up for what we believe in.
Contreras pulled her own children out of the public school system, and Contreras says if she is elected in August, she is still not sure that her kids will return. The Palm Beach County School Board elections will be held in August, and Contreras is running against Erica Whitfield.
Lena, when you spoke to her, what else did she say she's running on besides parental choice?
Well, besides parental choice, she is also looking to remove all sexually explicit material from inside the classroom, inside school libraries, and from inside the curriculum.
All right, Lena Salzbank reporting for us live tonight. You can watch her entire interview with Angelique Contreras on CBS12.com. Just look for the story under local news.
Two questions tonight about a dramatic incident outside former President Trump's home in Palm Beach.
It happened 2 years ago. Shots fired, a woman smashing through barricades outside of Mar-a-Lago, set up to protect then President Trump, who was set to arrive home from Washington that very day.
And now we are learning more about the actions law enforcement took to protect the president's home and the driver who was able to actually get away from police after breaching the security of one of the most protected homes on the globe.
CBS 12's Jay O'Brien leads us off with that story tonight. Jay?
Yeah, good evening, guys. We're not naming the driver in this case. She was recently found not guilty on these charges by reason of insanity. But this story has a lot more twists and turns than that. It starts right here at the Breakers, that resort on Palm Beach. It starts in a car chase from the Breakers to those barricades set up by police right near Mar-a-Lago here. But it's right here that police actually lose sight of the suspect. Shots are fired, and then the suspect gets away. She reportedly drives all the way to the airport, actually picks up her mother from a flight 5 miles away, and she successfully outruns the authorities. So we wanted to see what went wrong.
271, shots fired. They're shooting at her. Shots fired.
Calls of shots fired. Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office deputies and other law enforcement officers shooting into a Jeep SUV, trying to stop the car after it rammed through 2 security checkpoints surrounding Mar-a-Lago. Then President Trump wasn't home, but was expected later that day. Seconds later, the Florida Highway Patrol trooper behind the wheel of this cruiser makes a startling admission. He's lost sight of the suspect.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Let's rewind. It's roughly 11:30 in the morning. The FHP trooper is working security at the Breakers Resort on Palm Beach and is asked to help with a woman causing a disturbance. The woman gets into this SUV and refuses to get out, so the trooper smashes her window. The driver takes off. 4 minutes later, around 11:35, the driver slams through these barricades with the trooper close behind. Deputies open fire, hit the car multiple times, but it doesn't stop and eventually disappears.
I've lost visual of her.
Sheriff's Office records show the driver was not arrested until 1:15 p.m., an hour and a half after she first breached a security system designed to protect the President of the United States.
This is certainly an unusual event.
Former Secret Service agent Tim Miller believes law enforcement did everything they could with the cards stacked against them. It all happened in a fraction of a second, Miller points out, adding it's difficult to safely follow an erratic driver.
They were prepared for an incident like that, but certainly didn't expect it at that level.
Regardless, Miller says the Secret Service and even the Sheriff's Office have likely studied the incident, hoping it never happens again.
Anytime something like that happens, security gets better. And that's exactly what's happened.
And Miller points out there's a whole nother side to this case, which is mental health, making sure people in moments of crisis have access to the care that they need in order to stop incidents like this from happening in the first place.
And as the world's supply chain issues, they drag on, attention's now turning to the nationwide shortage of truck drivers. It's a big part of why ports are backed up. Some shelves have been empty. I mean, wiped out, completely empty. So now the federal government's considering a new way to tackle this critical shortage of drivers. Our Kara Duffy has been looking into this for us. So Kara, this plan is calling on younger drivers to really step up.
That's right, Ashley. The new federal pilot program paves the way for drivers as young as 18 years old to hop behind the wheel of big rigs and cross state lines. Keep in mind, as of right now, drivers must be 21 years old in order to do that. And while this new initiative here aims to attract new commercial drivers and more commercial drivers, not everyone is sold on the idea. And for some, the reason why is deeply personal.
They killed my son.
It's been nearly 3 decades since life forever changed for Russ Swift.
We're at home watching TV, doing dishes, and 2 Marines show up in full dress blues and come to the front door, and you know that's not good.
His son Jason, a 23-year-old Marine, along with a friend, also a Marine, were driving from Nevada back to their base in California. That's when Russ says they collided with a stalled semi-truck, which had been sprawled across both lanes of the highway. A 17-year-old was illegally behind the wheel, while the legal owner and operator of the truck was asleep in its cab.
Both the owner and the teenager had worked all day that day, and now they were working again at night, so way over the hours of service requirements.
Since his son's death, Russ, who now lives in Port St. Lucie, has dedicated his time to making a difference through Parents Against Tired Truckers and the Truck Safety Coalition. Both groups speaking out against the Safe Driver Apprenticeship pilot program. The pilot program is part of President Biden's infrastructure deal and will allow drivers as young as 18 years old to go through a total of 400 probationary hours with an experienced driver in the passenger seat. They'll be monitored after and have to submit monthly reports until they turn 21. Supporters of the program believe it could help with the current truck driver shortage and ease supply chain issues. Something Russ says is a dangerous risk to take.
This is an experiment that's putting everybody on the highway at risk, including the young drivers in those trucks.
I'm at Ashley. In the meantime, Governor Ron DeSantis, he's been very outspoken about his support for trying to fix and ease the critical truck driver shortage, as well as the struggling truck industry as a whole. We know already the state has dedicated millions of dollars towards trying to attract and train commercial truck drivers. In the meantime, this new federal pilot program, we're told, will be taking on about 3,000 apprentices at a time.